Just over a year ago, Syria was turned on its head. The Assad regime, which had ruled the country for more than half a century, collapsed. Bashar al-Assad fled the country, and a man once known as Abu Mohammed al-Jalani, now going by Ahmed al-Shara, emerged as Syria's new leader. Shara was the founding leader of al-Qaeda's Syrian affiliate. So how did Syria go from the Assad family to this? And what role did Western governments, including Canada, play in shaping the outcome? Because when you follow the money behind the Assad opposition's public image, you run into a quiet but very well-funded propaganda effort, one involving Western governments, intelligence-connected contractors, and millions in taxpayer funding. I'm Reed Small with Coastal Front, and today we're looking at how Canada helped fund a covert propaganda campaign surrounding the Syrian war. Before we get into that, a bit of context. The Syrian civil war, also referred to as the Dirty War, began in 2011 during the Arab Spring. What reportedly started as protests against Bashar al-Assad quickly spiraled into what has been described as one of the bloodiest conflicts of the 21st century. Thousands were killed and countless more were displaced. And the war became a geopolitical game of tug-of-war between multiple actors. Assad's government, backed by Russia and Iran, the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces in the northeast, supported by the United States and Western allies, and a range of foreign-backed rebel groups, including Islamist factions that Western governments often described as part of the moderate opposition. Behind the scenes, Western governments were working to shape how that opposition was presented to the world. In 2020, a hacking collective released hundreds of internal documents from the UK's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office. The files revealed a covert British government program designed to influence public opinion about the Syrian war. The project relied on private contractors to produce media content, run communications campaigns, and train Syrian activists to promote narratives aligned with Western policy objectives. The term used in the documents was strategic communications. The objective was straightforward: undermine Assad, promote the opposition, and shape how the war was understood by the public. Several of the contractors involved in this effort were funded not only by the UK and the United States, but also by Global Affairs Canada. One of the key players was a consulting firm called ARC Group DMCC. Based in the UAE, ARC helped design and distribute media content supporting what Western governments described as the moderate opposition, a label that included groups like Jaish al-Islam, an Islamist faction accused of abducting activists and circulating videos of executions. This included radio broadcasts, online campaigns, and support networks for Syrian activists producing content inside opposition-held areas. And Canada was helping fund it, providing more than $7 million to ARC over a period of several years leading up to 2024. But Global Affairs Canada declined to comment on how that money was spent, and when asked about leaked documents, officials expectedly refused to comment. Through an Access to Information request, Coastal Front obtained internal program documents tied to one of Global Affairs Canada's projects in opposition-held Syria. On paper, the goal was straightforward: combat sexual and gender-based violence. But the spending details raised questions. According to the documents, roughly $270,000 was spent installing just 6 streetlights in the Syrian town of Atma. That's about $45,000 USD per streetlight. Global Affairs Canada had no staff on the ground to verify whether the lights were installed or whether they were still there. When asked about oversight, the department said it trusted ARC's financial competence, which means Canadian taxpayer dollars were flowing into an active war zone through contractors without Canada making any meaningful effort to verify where that money actually went. Now, back to the broader propaganda campaign. To understand ARC's larger role, it helps to look at the man behind it. Alistair Harris worked for the UK Foreign Office from 1996 to 2002, with postings in the Balkans, Central Europe, and Pakistan. He later worked on war crimes investigations tied to the former Yugoslavia. In 2009, he founded ARC in Lebanon. Publicly, the company described itself as a bridge between local communities and international actors. But the leaked documents point to something far more active: an organization helping shape the narrative around the Syrian war. and that included one of the most recognizable organizations associated with the Syrian opposition, the White Helmets. Officially known as the Syria Civil Defense, the group became internationally recognized for dramatic rescue footage, pulling civilians from the rubble of bombed-out buildings. They were nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, they were the subject of a Netflix documentary, and they became one of the most recognizable symbols of the Syrian opposition. But that image didn't build itself. From the beginning, it was supported and amplified by the same entity we've been covering, because behind the scenes, ARC played a central role in shaping the White Helmets' global profile. In 2011, ARC brought on James Le Mesurier, a former British military officer. 2 years later, in 2013, Le Mesurier helped establish the White Helmets, with support from ARC. Publicly, the group was presented as a volunteer civil defense organization, but behind that image, it was part of a broader communications effort in line with ARC's objectives. Le Mesurier later founded the Mayday Rescue Foundation in 2014, which became the primary funding channel for the White Helmets. At the same time, ARC continued managing key parts of the organization's media presence, amplifying its image and positioning it as the face of the moderate opposition. The leaked documents show ARC discussing its role in securing high-profile international recognition for the White Helmets, and the funding followed. Global Affairs Canada provided more than $8 million to the White Helmets through Mayday Rescue in 2017 and 2018 alone. Combined with earlier funding to ARC, that brings Canadian contributions tied to this network to well over $16 million. European governments, along with Qatar, were also sending millions into Mayday's accounts in Amsterdam. Then came the financial concerns. In 2018, the Netherlands suspended its funding to Mayday Rescue, citing a problematic payment system and serious concerns about oversight. A government review found insufficient safeguards to track where funds were going, and raised the risk that money could be diverted to extremist groups. At the same time, allegations surrounding individuals connected to the White Helmets began to circulate. These included allegations of theft, torture, homicide, and cooperation with militant factions. Those claims remain contested, and critics raising them have often been dismissed as Assad apologists, but they added to growing scrutiny around the organization. And that scrutiny grew worse. In late 2018, Le Mesurier withdrew $50,000 in cash from a Mayday safe in Istanbul, and that money went missing. According to reports, staff were later instructed to account for the discrepancy through backdated receipts. A Dutch audit also flagged unusual entries in Mayday's financial records, including payments labeled James for Wedding and Loan to Emma, a possible reference to his wife, Emma Winberg, who was also a director at the foundation. Despite the controversy, Le Mesurier took responsibility. Then, on November 11, 2019, just days after offering his resignation, he was found dead outside his apartment in Istanbul. His wife said they had gone to bed around 4 a.m. after taking sleeping pills. Turkish authorities ruled the death a suicide. Following his death, European donors commissioned a forensic audit of Mayday's finances. The report concluded that it found no evidence of misappropriation of funds. Yes, you heard that right, Canada. The millions of dollars you paid to Mayday were definitely not misappropriated. Even with the audit's conclusion, the damage was done. Funding had been suspended, and serious questions about oversight remained. Meanwhile, ARC kept operating and continued receiving funding from Global Affairs Canada for essentially the same purposes as Mayday. Leaked documents describe using this funding to influence attitudinal and behavioral change inside Syria. The company continued building networks of media activists and producing content for regional outlets, as well as organized targeted campaigns, including so-called communication surges timed around key moments. ARC referred to part of this work as gender programming. The goal was to present opposition-held areas as progressive and inclusive, particularly on issues like women's rights, while undermining the Assad government's image. ARC supplied this content, both branded and unbranded, to major international outlets, including Al Jazeera and the BBC, helping shape how the conflict was presented globally. And it didn't stop there. Harris had another channel for Canadian funding as well. In a 2019 LinkedIn update, Harris highlighted what he called ARC's sister company, the Stabilization Network, DMCC, an organization that, by its own description, mirrors ARC's objectives. Corporate records show it functioned as a subsidiary under the same leadership. The company is also based in the UAE, and Harris is the CEO of both. Between 2017 and 2019, Global Affairs Canada provided this company with more than $13 million. Taken together, Harris's network has received more than $30 million from Global Affairs Canada, with over $20 million going directly to his ventures, ARC and the Stabilization Network, and the remainder flowing to Mayday Rescue. And throughout all of this, he's remained largely out of the spotlight, operating at a distance. Harris has previously been referred to as an MI6 operative by a multitude of sources, but we couldn't confirm this. In 2019, however, Harris founded a motion picture production company called Hodgepodge Entertainment. Another founder was Simon Wilson, who appeared in a cryptome list of MI6 officers published in 1999, a list the British government unsuccessfully tried to prevent from being published online. In 2004, when MI6 agents in the Balkans were exposed by regional journalists, British operatives were pulled out, revealing Western intelligence activity during NATO's breakup of Yugoslavia, an approach later echoed in Syria. As previously mentioned, Harris worked for the UK Foreign Office from 1996 to 2002, with postings that included the Balkans. He later went on to conduct war crimes investigations throughout the former Yugoslavia, according to his LinkedIn. Piecing together Harris's career reveals a figure repeatedly positioned alongside UK foreign policy efforts. He operates in close proximity to intelligence circles, though without formal acknowledgement on the public record. What we do know is this. Through ARC and its affiliated organizations, Harris has secured tens of millions of dollars in Canadian funding that helped shape both the narrative of the Syrian dirty war and the structures that followed. And the outcome is the Syria we see today, a country now led by a man who once headed al-Qaeda's Syrian affiliate. A country where minority communities face deadly sectarian violence under the new order, and a country shaped, in part, by years of externally funded campaigns that Canada helped finance. I'm Reed Small with Coastal Front. Thanks for watching.